of the narcissist, in brief, or the psychopath, the predator, in brief, a simple way of understanding it that is of limited truth but useful to understand is also binary. We can imagine that it was formulated between two poles, two polarities. One in which the child is treated as being wonderful, angelic, and the other in which they are the worst, most unlovable, most loathable object imaginable, demonic. They are treated as an angel, they are treated as a demon. That then formulates into a personality. It is a defensive personality. It's a defense mechanism to a highly hostile environment. Perhaps we have a loving mother and an abusive father. The father is drunk and physically abusive. The mother feels guilty for marrying this piece of shit who's now abusing a child, so she gives the child too much love. She spoils him. Or it could be the other gender role reversed, or the parents could be loving and it might be an institutional abuse. But think of it as two polarities. This is important. Why do they do what they do? They were raised in an environment of two polarities that split their sense of self. They were receiving too many conflicting signals. How is a child supposed to deal with, you're godlike and wonderful and beautiful and perfect, you're a piece of shit, you're worthless, you're disgusting. So they're sort of roller coastering through terrible shame and abandonment and terror and then elation. But it's not the elation of genuine, authentic achievement in a boundaried way. It's the saccharine attention of applause from an audience, a faithless audience. That parental or family or institutional environment addicts the child to narcissistic supply. So then they're going to be stuck roller coastering between those two polarities, running from shame, trying to get back to elation. Your narcissist or psychopath is highly anxious, hence the stalking, hence the obsession, hence if they text you and you don't text back inside of 5 minutes, there's another 10 texts that will be coming afterwards. It's very, very anxious, even though you experience it as perhaps bullying and strong and dominant, it's actually an extremely anxious state that they're in. That's the polarity idea of the formation of the personality disorder. How does that affect you? You will be treated in this way during the relationship. You also will be angel and demon. So they project when they're in different states onto you. You will be treated well, and then you will be treated poorly. As the relationship progresses, the amount of time we're spending in angel phase and demon phase will move. Presumably you're divorcing because it went more demonic than angelic. Usually it's angelic at the beginning, demonic at the end. Angelic will be being very, very kind to you, very, very sweet, very, very loving, telling you lots of nice things, and demonic will be the torture that they like to inflict, because that's where narcissistic supply, and to a degree, I guess we could say psychopathic supply, is drawn from. What does that do to you? You receive that. You're a human being. You're being treated by the person who loves you as wonderful and like a piece of shit on different days. You are then forced into their reality. You're then forced to split. My hypothesis, and it's completely made up with no research whatsoever, is that you're storing both experiences on two different hard drives. You then are storing memories and feelings associated to that one person as though they were two. So you're splitting in order to cope, because you're going to have to be a different personality to receive their fake, overbearing, saccharine, highly sentimental love, and then you're going to have to be another person to deal with the abuse and the torture. So you split in order to cope, and then you store these experiences in two separate places, I think, in the brain. The reason I think we store it in two separate spaces is when you're divorcing, whether you're legally divorcing or, as I've done twice, divorced emotionally from this type of personality, my brain keeps firing one hard drive, the good one. Fuck you, brain. I was there, I remember what happened. And the brain's playing all these lovely romantic comedy sort of moments. Wasn't it funny when she did? Yeah. Do you remember when she chucked a glass at your face? How to forget about that? Oh, you're always so critical. One glass, you know. It's love, it's passion, it's romance. No, it isn't. It's abuse. There is a technique here that gets played out in cults, trauma bonding. So I would take you into the cult. You're love bombed. I treat you very well. I'm the cult leader, of course. I treat you very well, and then some minor infraction, perhaps it's even invented, a slight, and I fly into a rage, and I beat you and I lock you in a cupboard. If I rescue you from said cupboard after 2 or 3 hours, you are perceiving me as demon and angel. I am both tormentor and saviour. guys, don't underestimate the effect of this as you're going through the divorce process. You're going to be highly emotionally dysregulated. Just speaking, like what Sarah said about the name is banned. You do not speak the demon's name. It invokes them. They draw power from the words, the energy. It's a different seminar, but it's true. You know it's true in your heart, so don't say their name. Don't say it. That splitting inside of you is very, very, very stressful. And even as you're going through divorce, I feel, through my ultra-sensitive powers of empathy, guilt here. And you're guilty because some of you go back. Sometimes, a little. Or you permit them. Sometimes, a little. Oh, you're so pitifully grateful for just that little bit of niceness. It's awful. It's a horrible thing. Do you ever see or read 1984? You know, the experience of the guy who's being tortured. Eventually he's saying, thank you, which is true to life. That's what happens, because torture breaks down the ego boundaries and reduces us to an infantile state. This ongoing, inescapable, torturous relationship that you're in breaks down the ego boundaries and takes you back to an infantile state. So if you are feeling guilty or feeling ashamed, remember that this